Welcome to a brand new episode of Girl, Geek, and the Gay, the show that teaches you stuff without knowing stuff ourselves.
Or English.
Or English. I am Jose, and with me is the lovely Jaime.
Hi.
And the beautiful Stephanie.
Hello.
How you guys doing today?
Good. Good, yeah. The lovely weather.
Going back to weather talk already.
It was sunny.
Yeah,
Now it got gloomy.
Gloomy again, yes.
Darn.
That Earth.
Well, I watched this documentary a couple days ago called Behind the Curve in It.
Okay.
Wait, that last part was supposed to be in the next sentence.
Oh.
Just called Behind the Curve. Okay?
Oh, okay.
So, Behind the Curve.
I heard Jaime Curve. I
think
part of it's missing, apparently. All right. Behind the Curve.
Behind the Curve. And in it, Mark Sargent peddles the information about the shape of the Earth and why what we have been taught our entire lives is wrong.
So, how old is this movie? Or
It's only a few years at this point.
So
I
was
think
this the one that was
2017.
Was it on Netflix?
It was a Netflix
Oh,
documentary.
okay,
yes,
gotcha.
originally.
Yes.
They took it off, so I had to rent it.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was looking for it right now, and that's why I was confused.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was going to talk, but I didn't know the name of it.
Yes. So our entire lives, we have been taught that the Earth is a sphere. But did you know that only 6% of Americans believe that?
Are you serious? No.
Only 6% of 66. Sorry,
Oh.
66%
Oh, like
of Americans would agree with that information.
Oh, like, wait.
I mean, 66 is still not as high as it should be.
That's not as high as it should be, but considering the times that we're living in, that's actually a pretty good number comparatively, like, yeah.
Yeah, well, according to Sargent, the Earth is really in the shape of a disc with what is essentially a spotlight that serves as the sun that rotates around it.
Okay.
We're basically in the third grader's diorama. It's as best as I can put it.
Yeah.
Some have described it as a terrarium. And some people think that there's a dome around it, but others don't because they can't see it. Look.
Yeah.
When I went in to start doing this, I was like, all right, I'm going to take their claims as seriously as I can.
Yeah.
But they're just so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, so what do you guys think about the whole flat Earth and?
Yeah. Stephanie, thoughts?
I don't know. It just makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, how can it just be flat?
Yeah.
Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah. And I always just kind of think like there's really easy ways to prove this, like, and just like, science. I mean, like, not being a scientist, right? But there's things you can do to just kind of understand and who thought that we'd even be having a conversation like me thinking back when I was a kid and I learned about a sphere, Earth-ish,
Allegedly.
Well, because it kind of warps is why I said ish, but it's like whoever thought that you would have to then have a conversation with somebody who believes the complete opposite, believes that the Earth is flat, I get it why people fall into these ideas, but I get why they fall into these ideas, but it's so easily explained and resolved on your own or with a community, which this movie kind of
But if
involves.
you look into the horizon, it's flat. How do you explain that?
It obviously we're tiny. We're so tiny, right? We've talked about this about this.
I'm average at best.
I mean, humans, we're dust, that's literally what we are, on this giant.
But what if that's not the case?
It is the case. Prove it. Show us the true evidence. And it's funny, in this movie, they show themselves the evidence, right? They prove to themselves that they're wrong.
You want to do this?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump that far ahead. But I'm just saying, like, if you've ever seen this documentary,
It is a documentary.
yeah, about the quote unquote community, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you ever see this documentary, it's yeah, you did. It's constantly proving themselves wrong, right? And it's that's it. You proved yourself wrong. but it becomes a social situation.
It's a large part of it is confirmation bias.
Yeah.
You make up your mind and decide that you're going to find information that backs up your claims.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, what does this information mean, to try to figure out where you stand.
Yeah.
It's you come up with an answer and look for something to support that answer, and anything that doesn't fit that is out the window, or it doesn't count.
Yeah.
We've talked about gravity being a huge thing. Flat earthers don't believe in gravity. So I learned that what they believe is that the world is constantly being driven up. So it's like we're always being pushed up, and that's why we're able to stay on the ground.
Oh.
Yeah, because we're being pushed up.
Oh.
The sun,
like an elevator?
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, okay.
Basically.
Okay.
The sun is only about 3,000 miles away.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like right there.
We'd be fireballs. I mean, we'd be a fireball.
No, because it's only about 30 miles wide.
What?
Yeah. and like other planets don't exist. That's the one that really tripped me out. So okay, not everybody, not every flat earther believes all of these things, but I started watching this other documentary thing.
Yeah.
It was really difficult finding these flat earth videos at this point because every time I try to look one up, it'd be like, why flat earth model is wrong, right?
Okay.
And I'll just get a bunch of those. And I'm like, no, okay, but why is it right? And YouTube was just like, nah, you don't want that.
Yeah.
So
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I personally think that's a good thing. And obviously some, those people, like people who believe that, like, don't. Sorry, the heater's going off. All of a sudden.
Not very good.
Yeah. Science.
It's all right. One of the things that comes up a lot is if we're in a ball, how does the water stay on? Because we're on a ball. If you have a ball and you put water on it, the water's going to drip off of it, right? Science.
Well, yeah.
But not if you're inside.
Well, if you're inside the ball, but we're not inside the Earth.
Yeah. So, okay. it's yeah.
So there was this guy in this documentary
Uh-huh.
whom this guy was nuts. All right, like this guy took nuts to another level. I think.
What the
I didn't even write this guy's name down. Like he hurt my brain.
Oh no.
It was that.
Was it the really aggressive guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. But at some point he's like, NASA means deceive in Hebrew. Well, actually it's Nasha, but it sounds similar. That's a direct quote.
Yeah. No, I believe you. Yeah. That guy was so aggressive about like his ideas, his thoughts, that there was nothing else. And he considered himself to be like a very, I think even like a pure-blooded person, and all, like he would say certain things about himself, like he's like a specimen of a man type of thing. Like there's been a lot of really other comments that he said about himself that are very like crazy in the way that he describes his thoughts and why he's correct.
Yeah, I mean, like this genius level intellectual was straight up reading a flat Earth book while driving. Like a book, a whole ass book.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
There was a claim in it. Like they asked them, "Are there any scientists in flat Earth?" And they responded with, "No." Like once you get enough education,
oh no,
you the system, you do anything to keep that system operating.
Yeah. So that was the idea, is that the reason that nobody, no scientists come out against flat Earth come out for flat Earth is because they're part of the bigger system as well, right? Like they're just trying to keep these things hidden for some reason. And my thing is, again, you can the organization that they've created and the people, the following that they've gotten is big, right? A lot of people are subscribing to this idea, right? You would think that like, hey, maybe one of them has a boat, or something, like and just be able to prove their points, right? At a certain point. And they do so many experiments that like, it's like, okay, keep doing what you're doing then. Prove yourself, prove yourself, prove it to us, right? Because that's what we've talked about science being, right? Like it constantly evolves. It can change. It definitely changes, you know, and then things get explained, but show us the evidence, show us the proof, you know? And that's where they in this situation, it's like they believe there's just like barriers of ice as well. That's all around the flat earth, right? And that's why we're never able to get to the edge of the world, is because there's ice as well. At those barriers, I'm like, okay, but you can climb ice. You can, or you can take a boat to that point and let's see, show us the edge of the world, you know. So that take a picture of it, you know, do something that can show us what you're saying, you know.
My thing is, if the Earth was flat and we live in such a capitalist society, they'd be selling tickets to a trip to the edge of the world.
Yeah,
I'd go.
I'd go too. Like, it's just falling into nothingness, you know. Like, let's see.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't go over. But
No, I'm not saying I'm not saying jump off, Jose. But you're right. Like that's an idea, right? Like it would become that.
Yeah.
At every point in every country, you know, would have a point, maybe. You know.
So I was reading about the way gravity works, and the way gravity would work on a flat Earth is really interesting because everything will be getting pulled towards the center of it. So the further out you go into the edges of this flat Earth, little pizza world, the more of an incline it feels like you're climbing, because of the way gravity works.
Okay.
Everything's pulling you back.
Oh, got it.
And if you were to be able to get to the edge, you would basically be able to just stand on it, like if you were doing that on this little planet like that.
Oh.
Like it's. But they don't believe in gravity. That is a thing that just baffles me.
Yeah. Yeah.
According to them, it's just
We're just moving.
yeah, we're moving up. It's universal. What did they call it? Universal acceleration. Just all celestial bodies are moving up. Like I mentioned earlier, some people don't believe planets exist because planets aren't mentioned in the Bible.
Oh.
They believe that everything that we see is within this little sphere. I mean, not sphere, I guess, but the dome. So the stars, the moon, and the sun, like everything's under that dome.
Yeah.
Right. And listening to some of these people try to just break their brains when it comes to trying to explain these things, one, is hilarious, but two, it's also so rage-inducing because it's. I don't know if you're purposefully spilling this bullshit ass information,
Yeah.
or if you're just really this dumb. So, do you guys know how many stars there are in our solar system?
Oh no. I've counted, but no.
No.
Yeah.
There's only one star in our solar system.
Oh wait, the sun. Duh. We talked about this.
The sun is the only star in our solar system.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always think bigger in my head. That's why.
Size queen.
Stop. That's not what I mean. No, you know what it is? Okay, it's because the way that we say it, in my brain always processes as like, you know, what's clearly visible to us, right? We talked about this recently, even. So that's why when we say stars, right, in our solar system, I always interpret it as just what we've seen images of, like and what we can see from our planet, right?
Yeah.
Like the stars in the sky that we consider our stars, you know, which again are not within our solar system. Got it.
You good?
Yes, I'm good. I'm just saying, it's just the interpretation of the question is what baffles people at times. It baffled me right now.
So,
It baffled me.
Yeah. Yes.
so I watched this debate with this guy called Professor Dave. He is like I really love this guy, this YouTuber, and he was debating this guy called Flat Earth Dave. Dave is just the most common name, I guess, but I just loved how condescending Professor Dave was to this guy the whole time, and like you could see this guy just getting so mad and trying to hold it together. At some point, he's just like, "Stop being a dick." And he goes like, "You stop being a dick to science," which I just thought was a great quote.
Yeah.
But listening to this guy just try to spew out jargon, and you know, whenever you get into this corner, you're just like magnets. It's like that what?
Like that's the reason of a
Yeah.
specific thing. Okay.
So, you know, like I mentioned, how does the water stay on? In gravity.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Like that's it. That's the answer. It's gravity. And they don't seem to understand how big the Earth is.
Yeah.
So, The Earth is 13,170 billion trillion pounds.
Holy shit! Yeah,
Right, that's a little big.
a little,
Yeah.
just a little bit. Yeah,
It rotates at 1,000 miles per hour in a 15-degree tilt.
yeah.
So one of the ways he explained everything also was with seasons. You know, in a flat Earth model, seasons don't make sense because
Because of the rotation of the Earth and the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
so the way seasons work is the tilt of the Earth and the rotation around the sun.
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
So when you get something that's closer to the sun, you get summertime.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
But it's they literally try to tell you expect us to believe that people are standing upside down in Australia. But it's like down is towards the center of the earth, right? At all times. So that's why things work because
Yes.
of gravity.
Right.
And gravity is just something they don't understand.
Yeah.
And it baffles me.
Yeah. I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I remember. I don't know if it was in this documentary, but they were like, imagine if you put like an ant on a basketball, right? Like, even to explain like the curvature of the Earth, right? Like, obviously, it looks flat at a certain. It looks flat at a certain point to the ant, right? And it is flat for some time to the ant. And maybe a basketball is not a good because ants comparatively to a basketball, right? But it does look flat to a point, right? Like, even so, that's what we see. It's just flat up until the point where it curves, but also things disappear at a certain point because there's a curve to the world, and the way it works. So, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
I'm still just baffled. So you said they were thinking it like a disc,
Yes.
right? So this is them.
Yes.
They know it's round, but just not all over. So
Just not spherical.
Okay. So I'm really trying to understand their
This
theory.
is floating
So-
through Earth, like
so
you
this-
said,
Okay.
through the universe.
And Australia. This is Australia, right? So people
Or
are
do-
upside down.
Well, no, like on a sphere, Australia will be here.
Yeah. So, like, they say, like, how they even say, like, if you dig, like, you keep
go-
digging through the Earth, you'll end up in like China or something like
Right.
that. That's what they're saying. They don't believe that people are standing upside down beneath us, type of thing.
Yeah.
All right. Which is not literally how it is. But so that's another question too, right? So according to flat earthers, right, and this is a great example because we have it, right? So these are the continents that we have, but there's nothing that exists down below.
No.
Oh, but why then?
So this
Because-
is just
Yeah.
the end of Earth right here.
It's just flat,
It's a turtle.
Okay.
upside down. So it's the bottom side of the turtle, or the top side of the turtle. No, but really, yeah. But everything. Okay, so again, everything. The continents that we know all exist on this top.
So the if you look at the map, actually the flat Earth map, it is a picture of from on top from the globe.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're taking a picture of the Arctic, the North Pole
And it's
on top,
the North Pole's in the middle.
yeah. So
Oh.
so if you look at it like this, but if you're looking at it from on top, if you were to just spread out the Earth, that's kind of how it works. But one of the other things that don't work is the hemispheres,
Right.
like the southern hemisphere and the northern hemisphere.
yeah.
It looks like a large part of it would remain untouched on the northern hemisphere, but the southern hemisphere is just all out of whack, especially because it doesn't explain how different people see different stars if when they're facing the same direction. Like if you're facing north, because you're all facing north, right? And you're all facing towards the magnetic north, basically. So for them, it's if one person's facing north, then I'm trying to explain it without imagery, because when you have the continents spread out, basically you'd have Africa over here, so north would be like west. Yeah, north would be west,
Right.
because of the way it's spread out. So you would be looking in an entirely different direction than somebody in Argentina. You'd be looking in an entirely different direction, but we all see the same sky.
I the challenge, even in explaining it, right, and the reason that we're even so confused is because of the fact that we grew up understanding that it's a globe, right? So even trying to
Because you don't ask questions.
you don't.
Simon.
Well, and it's not even. And so I don't because it makes sense, right? Like everything we say, like you talk about, like the reason you see the sun, disappear is because it's we're rotating, right? Like it makes sense, and then at this point in our lives, we would already, I feel like we would already have like be at a point where we'd be able to prove this, prove that the Earth is flat if it is flat, and it's been proven otherwise, right? Like just like again, at a certain point, we believe that the sun was rotating around us. We know that we rotate around the sun with other planets, blah blah blah, right?
Other planets don't exist, Jaime. Pay attention.
But see, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just like, and that's the thing that like it's so confusing because we understand these things and we always have. So even trying to explain it, it's like trying to explain why we make sense as opposed to those situations that don't make sense is where it even gets like tongue twisty. It's like, how do you tell somebody? Because it's real. It's what exists. It's what we see on a daily basis. That's confusing. And that's the challenging part for me. I feel silly even like trying to explain this because, I'm not a freaking scientist, number one, but not the flat earth because to me that's obviously crazy, but I feel silly trying to explain it because it just, I've never had to sit there and be like, this is why you're wrong about that type of stuff,
See, I'm trying to put myself in their shoes. I'm trying to see their point of view. But how do you explain time zones?
Yeah.
I'm like, if it's like 3:00 here and 9:00 somewhere else, it's like, well, how do you explain that?
Yeah. And that's a good point too.
If they're seeing the same thing.
Yeah. So what is the theory about the sun?
All right, so the theory about the sun is that the sun is basically just. So the way some people put it is that it's just suspended up there. I don't know by what, right? In this little in the dome, but you have the sun on one side and the moon on the other, and they're just rotating simultaneously. So that's how you get day and night cycles. Which, I mean, if you think about it, doesn't make sense, especially because there are areas. Like for instance, Alaska that gets 17 hours of daylight sometimes,
certain times.
Or even I think Iceland gets 21 hours of daylight.
Something like that.
Yeah, and there are times when you can see both the sun and the moon at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're at points on the Earth, global Earth that face the sun a lot more during that time, right? Like even just like the opposite of that. They get 17 hours of nighttime, or have you guys ever seen 30 days of nights?
40 days of night?
30. Is it 30? 40? It's a vampire
yeah,
movie.
I've seen it.
Okay.
Are you talking
I know what
about
you're
the
talking
one
about.
With, Hartnett? What is it?
Yes, Josh Hartnett.
Yeah.
Yes, 40.
That's how I learned about that. And by the way, I feel so new to that because like even now on TikTok, like you see people that like they have just like so much nighttime that I'm like, I couldn't imagine living in a world like that. But it's just something I didn't understand. I didn't know that it was really a thing, but it obviously it makes sense because of the way the Earth works. Well, what was the sun? It was just like a machine that does it. I mean, like it's just technology that does it, or
No,
what?
It's just something that God made
Oh,
to
God.
maintain. Yeah, it's the a lot of the flat Earth stuff is a biblical
Religious.
thing.
Okay. I mean, oh yeah. Well, okay, because so then what if it's just what if it's just then like it's a super massive computer system that because then that's what you could say, right? Like it's a flat Earth, and on top of the flat Earth there's a projector that shows you an image of the sun, So why isn't it just aliens then?
I didn't ask.
Okay, you should.
I'll keep that in mind. Right after I talked to Batista about why he...
Thank you.
Yeah, I
appreciate that.
So one thing that came up sometimes, actually more often than I would like to admit, when talking about gravity, again, we're back to gravity,
okay.
how gravity doesn't exist. One of the things that was brought up was if gravity is real and the sun is bigger than the Earth, it has a stronger gravitational pull.
Yeah.
So why is our moon orbiting Earth instead of being pulled into the orbit of the sun? Mm-hmm. Right?
I get it.
Excellent question, Jaime.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I'm here for, to ask those hard-hitting questions.
Well, you see,
I'm not the flat Earth guy though.
Flat Earth Hyman.
Yeah.
So gravity drops off by the square foot. So the further something is, the less gravitational pull it has. The fact that the moon is so close to Earth, it is obviously being pulled into that gravitational pull rather than the sun that's 93 million miles away.
Right.
That's the answer.
Thank you.
I got you.
I was looking for that answer. And by the way, everything is kind of coming in to the sun, right? Like the way we're all being pulled into the sun on a regular basis.
Yeah, well, we're all orbiting the sun.
Yeah, we're all orbiting the sun, so we are getting close. But that's what I'm saying. Like that's another thing though too, that like we are being pulled into this center of gravity because of the sun. The way that we're moving towards the sun is what I'm saying.
No, we're not moving towards the sun.
We are, right?
The sun's getting bigger.
Oh, but we're not moving towards the sun because of its gravity. Because
we're orbiting the sun because of its gravity.
Each time we get closer, right?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't understand.
We maintain a pretty regular.
But there are things that eventually fall into the sun, right? And I'm not saying planets. I'm just saying like there are other things that fall into the sun or get pulled into the sun. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
okay. We're scientists, guys.
I would not want to lose orbit being pulled in.
No.
I want to stick with our little rotation.
That's all we need.
well, I've even talked about rogue planets before, like
Yeah.
just planets that got ejected from their solar systems.
Oh yeah.
And there are planets that are just
traveling
out in the fucking
universe.
space,
Crazy.
just flying around, hanging out.
Did they lose their gravity or something?
Oh, they lost the
Orbit.
Yeah, the orbit to their sun, or they just didn't have a sun. So because there are millions and millions of planets out there that are, and not all of them have solar systems.
So do you think if our sun just stopped, we would float somewhere?
Or
we'll
with
lose orbit.
with the orbiting too, like it could lose like the orbit, right? Because that's how you get rogue planets.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the gravity. It would just, we would fall off the course that we were on originally, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And there's no friction in space. There's nothing to slow us down. There's nothing to speed us up.
Just float away.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Basically. One thing they would also try, flat earthers will do, is because if you try to prove the shape of the earth by pointing at objects in the sky, because that's how people have been doing it for hundreds of thousands of years, they're like, hey, everything else out there is round. This is probably round too.
Oh, like flat.
Well, spherical.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
If you look at the objects in the sky.
Oh no. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm
yeah.
backwards in my head right now. Sorry.
So, one thing they did was like they put a presentation of four spheres, right? And they're just like, oh, all of these spheres are the same, right? But it turns out one of those is like a 2D image.
Oh.
And the guy's like, how are you gonna tell me that you can tell that all of these items are round when this is clearly a 2D image and you thought that 2D image was a 3-dimensional sphere? And the simple answer is the stuff in the sky moves. So you can tell something would change directions.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, for example, Jupiter, right? In regards to the Jupiter's eye, you can see it at certain points, but you can't see it at other points and times, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but if it was a 2-dimensional thing, like the object would get bigger or smaller depending on where it was moving. If it's 2D.
Yeah.
But no, the objects are spinning.
Yeah.
And
There was this thing, and this is kind of reminding me, because people, always kind of create their ideas. Like, Mars at one point had faces on it. Like people would be like, oh, that's a face of Mars.
the pareidolia.
Yeah. Sure.
Pareidolia is when you see
faces. Yeah. That way. It's funny. I saw something. I think we talked about this too, where like it says like, well, if we are so like we're so alert to faces that aren't really natural faces type of thing, like what existed that made us that alert to that type of reaction? Blah blah blah. Anyway, recently Pluto. There was images of Pluto that they collected, and it had like this figure, almost like a snail. Like it looked like a snail. So people were like, "Oh, there's snails on Pluto, right?" They're like, "Well, it's probably not snails. If so, it would be the the largest snail in the galaxy, right?
Yeah.
And so they explain though that even though it has the shape of a snail, it's not a snail. It's probably just frozen water, ice.
Yeah.
And it's probably just dirty or whatever because it was a dark spot. But people will just create these ideas just based on like an angle of a shot of an iceberg on a planet, or the faces that they see on Mars and things like that. It just kind of gets me thinking like just how everybody just runs on with their theories and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. Another thing was the Earth veers about 360 degrees every time it goes around the sun, right?
Okay.
And again, like they were like, how are you telling me that we're not feeling any of this stuff? And it's like, well, it takes 365 days to go around the sun.
Yeah.
That's like a degree a day, like to get, if you got into a car and it took you 300 and you took 365 days to make a full circle, like, are you going to feel it?
Mm-hmm.
It's...
You're not going to feel it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But also, they don't understand the fact that atmosphere is a thing, right? So, Earth's atmosphere is very thick. So the wind resistance, all of that, it creates friction and all that. Space is not that. Like space is frictionless. There's nothing slowing us down. There's nothing speeding us up. We're at a constant speed, and just atmosphere is just such an important thing, because like I mentioned, one of the things they also try to do is tell you about airplanes. They're like, well, if an airplane is traveling the way the Earth is spinning, and the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles per hour, that airplane has to be moving as faster than 1,000 miles per hour to be able to make any headway. Otherwise, it's just staying along with the spin of the Earth. Or if it's going the other way, then it would get someplace faster because of the spin of the Earth. But they don't understand atmosphere. Everything within the Earth is moving at 1,000 miles per hour.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
Yeah, and again, it's those things that you don't have to think about on a daily basis, which get you, because it's like if you're asking me, like I'm not gonna sit here and explain that to you, because I don't think about it. It's not something that I've ever had to think about, So that's why
it's kind of like they say you can always see your nose. Your brain just chooses to ignore it at some point. And now everybody just realizes they can see their nose.
Yeah. I can see my nose. Yeah.
It is baffling.
Yeah.
The last one I was watching was like 4 hours long, and I just kept fast forwarding through things.
Was it like on YouTube?
It was on YouTube.
Okay.
I finally found one.
Yeah.
It was like 4 hours, and the dude was saying nothing.
Yeah. In the documentary you're talking about, it just talked about how, again, it became a social situation, right? Because the guy that started the club or whatever,
Mark Sargent.
He's very awkward, and then he started becoming more social with people when he started putting out these ideas, and so it just got to the point where like it just became like a social situation for him, where now he has to keep up this image, even though he might understand that it might be different now, or he finally understands the science behind it. He's had to keep up such an image to like the people, so he's had to become socially accepted for him to become socially accepted, keep delivering that message, because if he loses that social acceptance, then he's just goes back to his regular, or what used to be his regular life.
Yeah. What was weird? So in this documentary, they had this other guy. I don't remember his name either, but he was like more of the guy that started peddling the flat Earth theory first, and he had a falling out with Mark Sargent. So he started saying that Mark Sargent was not really a flat earther, that he was an executive from WB that was implanted by the CIA
oh my God.
to the flat Earth community to mislead them and make them look dumb.
Oh my gosh.
Which it's not that hard. But this guy Mark Sargent has a podcast with another woman called named Patricia Steer.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, he's saying that that even from my name, Patricia, the last letters are CIA,
Oh my
and
God.
I'm there to steer people into the wrong direction. And it's like, man, these people, how do they not pull a muscle with those stretches?
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
And now it's like a battle between them. Like
Yeah,
who's
it's
the
battle of
best
flat earthers.
Yeah, who's the best flat earther in this situation? Yeah.
You know, I'll be honest, I feel dumber for having watched all this.
Well, and you can't help it, you know. And like I said, even trying to explain the situation makes you like, man, like I feel dumber, you know, like at the same time. So
I took out quite a few brain cells. I feel like my brain cells evolved a neck just so they had something to slice.
oh no.
I'm still baffled. So there's some people who believe there's people just standing upside down, right?
No, for the globe.
For the globe.
For the
globe.
model.
So like not in this situation, like not in the flat earth situation, everybody's up here, right? In the globe situation, right? Like we're standing up here, there's somebody standing up here, right? So it's not being perceived as like we're saying that they're upside down, but they're not, right? Because that's not how it works, right? It's just a globe. So there's people on both sides, right? We're just so tiny that it's not an upside down situation. We're not walking upside down, right? But what I don't get though is that too though. Like, why don't they say that anything exists on this bottom side, you know, at all? Like that's what I don't get.
China sticker.
Well, because I was thinking like, if I was a flat earther, I'd be like, well, take this and put an ant on it. They can crawl upside down.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they have that big ice wall, so we can't go around.
So we can't. And so then that's something we didn't really talk about though. But the
But
theory
no, that
is,
makes sense though.
Yeah.
Because of the gravity.
Yeah. But we didn't talk about there's supposedly an ice wall that exists all around
Like
the
Game
flat
of
Earth.
Thrones.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But it just stops people. And again, that's where I was even saying, so why aren't we just climbing that, you know, to be able to see the edge of the earth or what's upside down? And then what's on the bottom? I want to know what's on the bottom. Is there any theory about that in flat earthness?
No, it's just more
just flat because you're being pushed up the whole time.
You're just on a frisbee.
Is it the hand of Jesus?
Then it makes me think of Stranger Things. It's the upside down.
The other. Yeah,
That's a thing.
Imagine it's like a parallel universe underneath
Right.
us. Yeah. Oh, so this is kind of this is just an image from I guess a book. Flat Earth logo, Flat Earth. It's a bumper sticker. Excuse me. That's the Flat Earth.
And the white is
The ice that keeps us in. So I don't even know if I can show that, so I won't.
So, okay. My thing is, if the sun is inside, then why would we have ice around anyway?
It's not that hot.
It's a projection of Jesus, or it's a godly image thing. I don't get it. I don't get that. That's where it's like it's just a thing. Like there's nothing to explain what the sun actually is, right?
It's a star.
But no, I'm saying yes, but I'm saying in the flat Earth theory, it's still a star. Okay, so it's not a star. It's just an image that's being projected.
No, it's just the fucking light.
It's just a light.
Yeah, it's just a light that's suspended, and I don't know how it's suspended above the earth.
Yeah,
Like if it's got a little string on it.
Is it a person holding it?
I don't know, man.
And what do you call those from the Eternals? What were they called? The big ones?
Celestials?
Is it a celestial? Is it a celestial's eye that's projecting?
My brain hurts.
Now I'm thinking of the Truman Show.
Yeah,
and some of them reference the Truman Show. They're just like, well, he took his boat out to the edge. It's like, well, take your boat out to the edge,
and that's what I'm saying.
and then jump off, please.
Yeah, or show us pictures.
No, jump
of the flat Earth. No. I'm trying to get the evidence here. We're trying to be open-minded.
Don't leave yet. Just show me first.
Yes, yeah. If this is true, show me, and then I'll trust you. You know.
So some of the things you were alluding to when it came to this documentary was the experiments they ran. Mm-hmm. So they ran 2 experiments to prove that the Earth was flat, and one of them was trying to disprove the 15-degree tilt that the Earth has. Mm-hmm. So they purchased this $20,000 gyro. What was it called? The gyro something. Gyro something. That sounds right.
Science.
Gyroscope. Should have known that.
Oh,
So they purchased a $20,000 gyroscope that would measure the, like, it's so precise and measure the tilt, right? And the answer they got the first time was 15 degrees. The flat Earth shouldn't tilt. So they're like, well, maybe this thing is being manipulated by the stars and all that because, science.
Uh-huh.
So they covered it up. Like, they closed its eyes, basically. And they still recorded a 15-degree tilt. So then they put this gyroscope into this really elaborate box so that it wouldn't have any access to any other element. 15-degree tilt. And they were like, well, they have footage of the guy at a party talking to another guy. He's like, yeah, like we saw there's a 15-degree tilt, but I can't tell anybody about that because then it blows our whole theory out the water.
Yeah. See, they're proving themselves wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last experiment they did,
This is how it ended, too,
Yeah,
right?
they were going up against, I think, like a 23,000 mile distance or something, very very far distance, and they were gonna put three boards, right, and run a light through the boards, and the they were like, if the Earth is flat, we would be able to see the light, going through all three boards. If it's not, then we won't be able to see the light going out of the last board. Like, it'll be blocked. So, and sure enough, the light was blocked.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, hold it up," and then you could see it when they would hold it up.
Yeah.
Which was their theory. If they hold it up and we could see it, then that means the Earth is round. So he holds it up, and then you just hear the guy go, "Huh?
Yeah.
Interesting."
Yeah.
And then it ends.
Yeah, that exactly. So they proved themselves wrong in that situation by doing the experiment that they thought was going to prove a flat Earth, and they proved themselves wrong. It showed the curvature, right, in that situation. So they lifted something up above their heads, and that was it. That's proof. And then it ended. It was such a good series. It was such a good documentary. It was
interesting.
It was
That's
well,
for sure.
and what I mean by good is that it explained. It explained their ideas. I went into this, by the way, when I saw it a long time ago. I went into it trying to be open-minded about the situation, right? And there
Trying
was
to learn.
trying to understand. I would say understand their theories, understand what they mean, not necessarily learn. There are also scientists that were like the contrast of like why that doesn't make sense and everything like that. So it was really good. It was really interesting, and the whole social part of it to me was really what I took away from it. Is like people do anything to be in those positions of like quote unquote power or to have some popularity. They say things that draw more people to them, and because they're trying to validate themselves, right? So the more they get people to say yes or agree with you, it's like they become validated, even though their ideas aren't necessarily real ideas. The more people agree with them, the more they're like, yeah, I'm valid. I'm validated.
The way it started was with a quote from Mark Twain. I'm going to paraphrase, so I don't remember exactly how it goes.
Wow.
But it was something along the lines of, it's very easy to fool someone, but it's very difficult to make... Damn. I swear I had it. It's very easy to fool someone. It's very difficult to prove to them they've been fooled.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Mark Twain.
Yes. It's... One thing that a lot of them would say is something that I hear a lot from anti-vaxxers, which is do your research. Do your research. It's a fancy one. I did. You're still wrong. You're still wrong, and I could tell you exactly how you're wrong and why you're wrong, and God, you're dumb.
The quote is just to help a little
please.
bit. It's easier to fool people than it is to convince them that they have been fooled.
That.
So, yes.
What'd I say?
I don't even remember. You said Mark Twain.
Got that right.
Yeah. It's again like a lot of people fall into like a lot of the same ideas. Scientology is one of those things that's kind of a similar situation. People grow up in these environments not knowing that they're wrong, and if I'm wrong, right, like I want to know and I want to understand when I'm wrong, like for sure, and be open-minded to that. And again, this is why even watching the show, I was like, let me understand what their theories are, what the ideas are,
See, if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure it's the Mandela effect. Something changed.
Yeah, that sounds like you. Flat earther.
All right, I mean, that's all I got.
That's fun.
You guys have anything else to share?
My brain hurts.
Yeah, I'm still confused. I'm just like,
yeah, no, I'm good.
good.
All right, sweet. Viva la flat earth.
All right, yay. Bye.